name is Susan. And then you respond with hallelujah and good night.
I don't know what any of that meant.
I was an autopilot. I was like, yeah, the pollen's name is Susan. We're gonna call her Susan.
It took me a second to see if like there was an inside joke there. Like I needed to make sure that I wasn't missing anything.
I was making it as we went.
Mahmoud is just making his own jokes.
Yeah, hey. I mean,
are you a comedian?
Guys, I'm just gonna say it one more time. Allergy is so tiring. I'm exhausted being alive.
Mahmoud's allergic to everything in Houston.
It's just the weather. Like I breathe and I sneeze. It just goes. There's no exhalation.
Dude moved here and he's allergic to everything.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like, because where he lived, there was not nearly this much of anything.
Mahmoud, are we in sweats weather yet?
Oh yeah,
we're always in sweats.
He's always in sweats.
That's not a
dude.
yeah.
Dude, I was at the gym Monday and Tuesday, and he was working out in sweats, in joggers.
Okay, I wasn't working out. Okay, in joggers, yeah, but not in sweats.
I don't know. I've seen you work out in joggers in 90-degree heat.
Yeah, that's.
It was like 87.
Yeah, that's close. That's close enough. Call it 90.
I just feel contained and like loved, you know.
I wore my Birks to the gym. I didn't even want to put on socks.
Yeah, you know.
Until I had to.
That's the thing. Like I will never go to the gym in my slippers.
Well, I'm gonna put shoes on.
I've never been a slips guy on though. Like I'm always like a shoes person.
Yeah, you wear shoes, you leave the house. You don't leave the house with slippers.
I mean, it's just nice if I need to throw my shoes on. I don't like just
Okay,
putting on socks.
Nice
well, then,
hey, Tristan's got a platter of sandals right by his door. Don't let him like.
Most of those are my wife's.
No.
For the record.
You got to go in there.
I have a pair of Birkenstocks, and I have a pair of Crocs that I don't even wear.
Why? Why do you hate on Crocs?
Yeah, why? What's wrong on Crocs?
To be honest, they've just been in the garage, and I just haven't worn them. I just wear my Birks if I need to go outside real quick.
So when I wear them, you just,
Yeah, I know.
You wore them and tainted them, and I haven't worn them since.
Tainted. There's just greatness.
Here's the thing. I'm wearing my Crocs, but they're fuzzy.
My Crocs are fuzzy, which you can't wear in the summer because it makes your feet hot.
It's summer.
Mahmoud wants to feel loved in his feet too.
I'm really glad that we're 2:40 into recording.
It's just
it'll be
so warm and fuzzy.
This is gonna be
if it
out there.
Never mind.
We are recording.
Well, we've been recording for 3 minutes, my guy. Like everybody's gonna hear about your Susan pollen and working out in sweats.
Mahmoud, does your feet sweat when you got these Crocs on?
At a very long duration, yes.
He doesn't sweat like you and I do.
What do you mean?
Like
you sweat different.
You've seen me work out in the summer. Like it does not
take
long for me to start.
You nearly sweat. You do not sweat compared to me.
I never see you like super sweaty.
I don't try hard enough lately.
Oh, that's what it is. That's
all right,
what it
fair
is.
enough.
The truth comes out. Yeah.
Also, you probably can't see the sweat through your joggers.
Oh no, I used to sweat through my joggers. You would be able to see it.
Do you have the Born Primitive? Like the what do you call them? Forgot the model, but do you have the Born Primitive tight ones? You know what I'm talking about?
No,
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have a couple pairs. You don't like them?
Are we talking pants here, or what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, like skin tight
pants or joggers?
The joggers.
Yeah. I have like 2 pairs.
Oh no, I have the Noble joggers, and lately I've tried the Viori. If I'm spelling correctly.
Are they good?
They're a little bit like looser on the skin, so yeah, I like them for.
They're just so expensive, dude.
They're cheaper than Noble.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, Noble's like what, 110, 120 now?
Yeah, those are, I think, are like 95.
Yeah. Well, good news is I got a friend who's an ambassador for them now. So Lulu.
Oh, for Lulu. Is it
Cole? Lafayette. It's Taylor. It's Taylor.
I know Cole's one in Shreveport.
I hate admitting it, but it's Taylor, and his stupid little face is on this big sign inside of the store. And every time I go in there, it's just his stupid little face, and he's there holding his little sled, like smiling, like he's happy. Just makes me angry. But
so Taylor Sturgis, if you listen to this and there was any doubt, Connor hates the fact that he sees your face in Lulu.
We talk about it all the time.
Why don't we have anybody's face in like the Lulu in Houston, Mahmood? What the heck?
I don't know.
We got to figure that out.
Yeah, Mahmood, get in because
All
you need is one person to start ordering stuff for you.
You just need to walk in there and say, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I was the Noble CrossFit Coach of the Year."
No, I want to put my face up there.
Tell them you're part of the CAC. Just leave it at that, and that's got to get their attention.
Oh my god!
Oh boy, this is good.
This
is the most derailed start of a podcast we have ever.
Yeah, I think at this point people will just like skip.
Well, here's the good news: people have either came and left, or they're gonna sit through the whole thing.
They're just enjoying it so much.
They're invested at this point. Yeah. All right, so this is a podcast that had to be done because I feel like we should just get this out of the way from the
start. Yeah, let it in. Air it out.
Just put the air
it out.
Yeah. I made a mistake.
Yep.
And somehow accidentally deleted the first podcast we did with Connor.
We don't know if it's accidental at this point.
Yeah, it's sabotage.
Stop.
It's 100% sabotage.
No, because I deleted 2 other ones we did too. And also, Mahmood, I have no memory of what we podcasted on in those other 2 episodes. I have zero.
You weren't locked in.
I was not.
I'll be honest. You were not locked in. You didn't have. You probably didn't have your little 4 milligram on.
I probably didn't.
It was soft. It's very soft. So maybe this is a good thing.
Due to me deleting the podcast, we had to have Coach Connor back on. Coach and athlete Connor. Yeah. And I feel like we could kind of talk similarly to how we did last time, just because you have that unique perspective of both coach and athlete. And this is. Well, for the listeners, this will be your first time on the podcast.
Yeah, officially.
This is your
one that's actually published.
This is your second time.
We don't know yet. We'll see if it gets published.
No. So I learned from my mistake. As soon as we're done, I will upload this to YouTube private on the channel so that it's there and it's safe. And if I delete it from
there's still that little window.
I mean, there's a chance.
Tristan fuck ups. There's a little window there.
You know, like he trips over the cord, all of a sudden the thing.
Dude.
Oh no.
I was so mad when I realized I deleted those. I was so mad because we were ahead, we were doing good, and then we were not ahead anymore. But
we're ahead now.
What? It'll be all right. Shake it off.
Yeah, we're ahead a little bit again. We're getting there. All right. So for the listeners, for the people who don't know you, give the people a little background, Connor.
Yeah, who are you?
Sure.
Who are you? How'd you start?
Who are you? Who are you? No, I started CrossFit back in high school. For me, it was an introduction kind of into it. I started off not doing it for the actual benefits I see now. I was actually just trying to lose weight as far as a high school athlete goes. I was a little overweight. My uncle put me in there with my cousin, and on my exit meetings into the summer, my coach was like, look, man, if you want to play catcher at a higher level, it's going to have to happen. You have to drop this weight. So I said, bet. So started CrossFit. We modified a lot. Not a lot of snatching, not a lot of jerking. It was more so just the foundational movements, the squats, the overhead presses as far as a push
sumo
press
deadlift
goes.
high pull.
Yeah, sumo deadlift high pull.
That's a foundational movement.
Anyways, it is. Anyway,
not to get derailed.
And then I did it on and off, man. Technically up until my sophomore year in high school, sophomore year in college. And then after college, I was done with baseball, kind of wanted to go and take care of my studies a little bit. And for about 2-3 weeks, man, I went in the bodybuilding gym and I was like, hey, I'm about to get jacked as fuck. Absolutely not. It is so boring. It was boring to me. I could not make myself get up and go. And all these little motivational videos of like, oh, you just got to go. Once you're there, you're good. I just hated it. I hated it with a passion.
There's only so many ways to do a bicep curl.
Yeah, and I just, and hats off to the people that do that every day, because I can't.
There's more than it needs to be.
I mean,
easy. Yeah, Mahmoud, hold on, Mahmoud. I need biceps. All right.
Yeah. You don't need bicep curl, hammer curl, reverse curl, whatever the machine thingy.
That's like saying you don't need like back squat, Hatfield squat, safety bar squat.
Those are complex movements with so many muscles are involved.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, why? Which one? I'm hating.
It's okay. I can hate on bicep curl. That's okay. You hate on burpees. That's fine.
What?
On rowing. You hate on rowing.
I don't.
Not you.
I know what Tristan hates on.
What do I hate on?
70-pound dumbbell.
Anything with a 70-pound dumbbell. Actually, anything with a dumbbell.
Poor Tristan gets bodied every time it pops
dumbbell
up.
Snatches, devil presses.
Devil's press is a silly movement, and that's not
movement.
the direction.
I don't like conversation.
Right, get back to the curl.
Yes, I am not a huge fan of 70-pound dumbbell work, but that's okay. I'm built like a praying mantis. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, it's disruptive.
Anyway, after baseball and all that, I was just kind of in that realm of like, hey, this is boring. I don't feel like doing this anymore. Taylor Sturgis was a guy that I actually had met before in one of those little spans that I was doing CrossFit. And he told me that he was still there. So I went go grab a workout with him. And it's never turned back since. We did a little bit more than the class workouts, I guess about 2 or 3 months into it. And then we got into training think tanks program.
Oh, dog.
Come on, guys. We know the rules of the theater.
Dog.
That's unbelievable, dude. That's my boss for my other job, by the way. Anyway,
Mute.
If he sees that, I hope he sees that. I hope he does.
He might.
But so we did training think tank for a little while, and then I was looking for something a little more targeted, which is where old Tristy Poo on my left side came into play. Met him at Wad Gods when he was doing the elite.
When I was getting wrecked in elite.
There's no idea why.
They may be.
I know they bumped you up.
Well, no, yeah.
Up,
so I wanted to do RX, and they were like, "Hey, your open scores, like, you need to do elite." And I was like, "Guys, like,
they did the exact same thing to Taylor. I think it was about 3 weeks out. They did that.
Yeah, and I got riggedy wrecked by
that was some work. I don't know why they randomly did that though. Like there was no at the sign up time. There was no like, hey, if you're in the top 10%, I think it was Tristan.
No, it was top.
If you're
2.
in the top, it was in top 2. If you're in the top 2%, you automatically have to go to the elite, which was still silly in my opinion. But at least put that in the sign up registration.
Well, I think it's hard for some competitions, and I think they've gotten better about this. But it's like there's a massive disparity between 98th percentile in the open and truly elite level, semifinals level athlete. Like there's a large amount of disparity there. So yeah, we met there though because you were having a jolly good old time in RX, and I was just getting my teeth kicked in all weekend.
Yeah, I did well, dude. I don't know what your issue.
You did great.
And then you had Mr. Jacob Marlowe who came and do Raging Games. I think him and I forgot who he was battling out with that year. It might have been Trayvon.
No idea. No,
it's not Trayvon. Trayvon hadn't come onto the scene yet. Anyway, I forgot who Marlo was messing with at Raging Games. But anyway, long story short, I kind of just did some research and reached out to Tristy Poo, So.
And we've been working together since 2022.
Yep. Because
like
that's
December?
when I took. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Somewhere in there, because I definitely went into I was in school in Dallas, and I did it there. So probably around November, December.
Yeah, that's
because I knew we were trying to get ready for the Open.
Yeah, and that was the year you went team with Kirsten, Meg, and Braden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So jolly old good time in Dallas, Texas. I hate that place.
I was going to say, for people who don't know, that is not Connor's favorite city in the world. But
Cowboys suck.
Cool. And so while you were, what did you get your degrees in? I think that's worth talking about.
Yeah. So at University of Louisiana here, I graduated twice. I got my biology pre-medical sciences degree and my kines degree. And then I picked up a couple minors in chemistry and psychology. I've been everywhere in University of Louisiana, so I just kind of know my way around. And then I took off to Dallas for chiropractor school. And that's where I finished up and then came on back down home. So
I was going to say, I think you and Mahmood might be the two most traditionally academic, like seasoned coaches we have. It's hard to top the old PhD over there.
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever, dude. Like, who gets those? You know, who gets a PhD these days?
What was your PhD in, Mahmood?
Exercise physiology.
Exercise physiology. Okay, I didn't remember.
Mahmood, did you have to go through kinesiology before the PhD program?
I graduated pharmaceutical sciences and biotechnology.
That's what it was.
And then I did my master's in molecular biology, and I did my PhD in exercise physiology and specifically immunology.
Wow, dude, you are a nerd.
I'm a little nerd.
Mahmood's very, very smart.
Yeah.
How's immunology treating you right now with all the pollen?
Not treating me.
You helping yourself out or not?
I
How's that degree working?
Mahmood's in CVS, just in the like antihistamine section, like no.
Just yelling at them, let me in.
Give me what I want.
Oh my god.
I need this compound.
Dude, I've tried every antihistamine. It doesn't work. Yesterday my dad told me, just go get Vicks and shove it up your nose.
Oh, dude, that's some PTSD. My grandmother would walk around the house with Vicks on, and it's like just that smell. It's like,
just imagine like every breath just feels like fire.
Yeah, dude, it's like, oh my gosh. I don't know. My grandmother used to put it all on her chest when she.
Yeah, I did it once there, which was great, but no, my dad was like, put it up your nose, and I was like, are you sure? That's the one.
At that point, it's like a smelling salt.
It is.
It's like a smelling salt. It's a Vicks Vapor Rub smelling salt.
It is.
I will say, when you're like sick, Vicks on the chest though,
it feels amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
No. No, it does not. 100%. It's it's a constant breathing in of salts.
Yeah, but you also can't breathe.
Yeah, it's just, and I already feel terrible. Like if I'm sick, it's just like,
I know. I don't want my eyes watering.
So I don't know if this is actually something I should admit to the public, but I will because we're on the topic.
Breaking
when
news.
I was basic, we had to sit through these super long PowerPoints in basic training. And if you were super tired, if you fell asleep, you would get yelled at, smoked, have to go run, do a bunch of push-ups, this, that, and the other, right? So we would put Purell in our eyes to make ourselves stay awake. 100%. You just take a little dab of Purell and just give it a quick wipe. Your eyes are open, baby. Yeah, 100%. The military. I have
an idea.
I think it was just like a generational thing that was just passed down from like
common practice.
Yeah, it's just like what you did to stay awake if you were about to fall asleep.
So you just, dude, Tristan.
Yeah, definitely don't do that for the people out there. But for the record, my eyesight is still perfect. So
does it make you fitter?
No, definitely not.
That's the real question.
There's some wild stuff that goes on in the military.
Purell is on the PED list.
Yeah, it's a performance enhancer.
That's like Purell.
You can't close your eyes when you have it in
Why,
your
I
eyes.
literally
why
can't
is
close
there
my eyes. I
Purell in
see
your
everything.
bottle?
Dude, it was so bad. You'd put it in, you're just like, oh god, that hurts.
Yeah,
I
no,
can
that's
see
ridiculous.
color.
And y'all would do that just to simply stay up?
Yeah, so you didn't fall asleep.
I don't know. That would make me fall asleep even more.
Yeah, there you
No,
go.
I promise. Hey, grab some of that hand sanitizer at the gym. Give it a quick wipe. You'll be awake.
There.
Just do Vicks, man. Put it under your
Literally.
eyes or something.
We didn't have Vicks, bro. we had Purell.
I'd be rubbing my eyes nonstop.
I'm telling you, dude, it's like smelling salts. Every time I get near Vicks, my eyes start watering. No, that's miserable.
So,
You have like
so here's the
PTSD
thing:
from
my eyes water regardless because of the allergies.
That's
okay,
fair.
Mahmood. All
That's
right,
fair.
Mahmood.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
I
man.
made you feel bad there. That's okay.
Yeah, old immunologist here. Sorry.
Yep. I'm gonna go and seek help.
So not only you're an athlete with us, and then you also relatively shortly, I would say, into our time working together, you reached out to me about like an internship, mentorship sort of thing, which that was, I would say, from my perspective, really fun. I love to teach. I think all my athletes know that because I do kind of tend to explain things a lot. I find a lot of value in that.
Was he our first recruit theoretically, coaching wise?
I think so.
Because it was you, me, and Ricky.
Carrie.
Carrie. Yeah.
Carrie was already on.
Yeah.
So I think he was and Dara was already on. So I think he was.
Was there on?
Well, yeah, Dara was on
Okay.
already, and he and Hattie was already on as gymnastics. She hadn't started doing one-on-ones yet, but
okay. So you're our last recruit, basically. That's okay. I'm sorry.
Well, no, because we brought on
first to last.
Actually, I don't know if you're still
we brought on Brady. We brought on Brady and Dan after, like, long after, and Casey. Okay. But I would say, like, that was not one. I want you to kind of talk about the, like, what you learned or the insights you got from that, because you do have an extensive background in physiology, biomechanics, exercise physiology, and there was a certain amount of formality to what we did. But I was very upfront in the beginning with that. I was like, yo, brother, I do not have time to put together, like, hey, this 16-week course on how to program CrossFit.
Yeah.
It was just like I gave you some assignments to make sure we had like the nuts and bolts of things, and that was in your mind. And then a lot of it I kind of put in your court in terms of what do you need? What do you like? Let's talk about this. What question do you have? Things like that.
Yeah.
So what was that experience kind of like?
Yeah, no, it was honestly very enjoyable. At that point in time, I had an idea of what to do and what not to do just from general knowledge through books and stuff like that, through college.
Your own training.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. That too. So I kind of came on board with a predisposed education to that stuff. But for me, it was just the difference in between training for resistance training, bodybuilding, whatever you want to call it, powerlifting, rather than CrossFit. And I knew CrossFit was a little more complicated in that sense because you have a bunch of different more different movements than what you're dealing with on the bodybuilding scene. You know, the Olympic lifts and stuff like that. Yep. So when I reached out to you, I was trying to get heavy into coaching, not only in person, but online as well, because I love dealing with competitive athletes. So when we started, the general overall view of things didn't really change. It was just more so of like, hey, how do we apply it to the sport of CrossFit? Right. It wasn't anything that was completely foreign to me. It was just more so of like, okay, now we need to apply it to CrossFit rather than arm day and back day. Right.
Right.
So jumping into that just really taught me how to apply things that way. And on top of that, I think it was more important for me to just sit down and talk, because the talks were super important for me, because it's like, hey, you know, Joe over here is dealing with this. He snatches 300 pounds. this guy over here snatches 300 pounds, but he's dealing with this, right?
Mhm.
How do we fix each kind of error that's going on, right?
Right.
And those type of things. And then also we went down rabbit holes of like, you know, Metcons and stuff like that on what we can do, what we could critique, what time domain, what stimulus are we looking for. So that all that stuff just really came into conversation. It was nothing that was completely foreign to me, but learning how to apply it, especially on the competitive level, to athletes just in the future, really paid off dividends. And just going back to the in-person stuff too, coaching in person when I was in Dallas, you know, that was super important as well, because it's like, hey, now I have a little bit more knowledge, a little more elaboration to give these people so that they appreciate what they are getting out of me. It just added more value to me rather than, hey, I got all these little fancy degrees and, you know, I've been doing CrossFit for 3-4 years now. Like, you should listen to me. Right.
Yeah.
It just added a little bit more validity to what I was saying and what I was trying to communicate to these people, and then the athletes online as well. So the conversations were more important than the actual subjects that you had me research and work on.
Yeah. I mean, I love to chop shop. Anybody who really knows me knows that I love to kind of nerd out on.
Chop shop.
Yeah, chop shop.
Yeah, no idea what that means.
Metaphor.
It's like chop it up, like just talk it over, talk shop, chop it up,
chop shop.
I just put them together.
Ship shop.
But I think knowing your background, and then as we started to have conversations, a lot of what I felt like you needed was that conversation. And also there's this point where, as you're trying to learn how to program for CrossFit and do that for an individual athlete, it helps to have just a set of eyes. And it's just like, hey, this is what I think. Does this make sense? Because you were in that phase of, you knew the general way to go based on your education, but it was putting it into practice and then having a set of eyes for like refinement or adjustments, or even just conversation of, well, why are you doing this? Explain that to me. Yep. Okay, what about this? Like those things. I think that's something, honestly, that I've noticed a lot of CrossFit coaches when they're trying to get into, programming for high level athletes, remote coaching. That's really what they need, because you can find all the nuts and bolts on the internet in terms of principles of endurance, principles of VO2 max, principles of strength training, Olympic lifting, conjugate, 5x5, rate of force development, blah, 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 blah. You don't even have to go to college to learn all that stuff at this point. Like, it's all on YouTube University.
Yep.
But it's the kind of melding of them all together and the application of those. I actually think that's something that's missing from traditional schooling as well, in terms of, for people who want to go be a strength conditioning coach, or people who want to, if you don't have a background as an athlete where you're doing strength conditioning protocols, there's a big gap for people when they write their first program and put it all together versus, and then writing that program, and then is that even doable, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can write some shit on paper that might make sense in your head. It might make sense on the books. And then you give it to an athlete and they're like, hey, I am dead. Yep. And not getting better. Right.
Yeah. My senior year, we had to jump into the final project. We had taken some steps along the final semester that I was in college for kines. And one of the tasks was to build a 12-week cycle based off of the 4 basic movements: squat, bench, deadlift, and a strict press for that class. And that actually wasn't hard, because all you got to do is go to the CSCS book or the NASM book and just be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Yeah, like put this all together, right? And it takes time, and it does make sense, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, like, if I were to do that, if I were to pull out that up right now and present it to you or an athlete or anybody else, they'd look at me like I was crazy.
We could do better.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. But it's just the education we're dealing with right now, especially in dealing with that stuff, because you don't get a chance to coach and apply it to these athletes rather than, hey, I'm just going to have a final project where I build a 12-week block.
Right.
So it's definitely missing. Yeah, I enjoyed the talks. I still do too. I mean, I'll, I mean, you know me, I'll call you and see what's up. But
yeah, well, and a lot of that is where the coach, like our coach athlete relationship, and then your job as a coach as well, that all just gets blended together a lot of the time. Because sometimes we'll have a conversation about your performance on something, and then that leads to a broader conversation that you can then take and apply to your athletes, right?
yes,
Part of the thing I try to always center our conversations around, or anytime I'm talking to anybody who's curious about something, is principles over methods, right? There's a great quote from Dr. Andy Galpin: "The principles are many, the methods are, or the principles are few, the methods are many." So it's like, if you, like when we were going through those talks, or anytime we still have those conversations, it's like, if we can boil it down to first principles, I don't give a shit the method you use, as long as it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And it's doing what we're meaning it to do. I think that's a big thing that, as I've continued to do this just personally as a coach and done this longer, like there's just so much that we get wrapped up to in terms of methods, and it's like, dude, it doesn't, like, if you just boil it down to principles, it doesn't matter. Like, it just really doesn't matter. Oh, like, you need to be better at endurance. Okay, you need to endure. As long as this fits the criteria for getting better at endurance, I don't really care what it looks like on paper.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's gonna.
Yeah, I just had Chris Gaines go to the tactical games, as you know, Tristan, and one of the things was like, hey, I just need to run better in a full kit. Weight vest, gun, pistol, etc. And it's black and white, right? It's like, okay, cool, more loaded runs. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not complicated. I think a lot of these, and the bad thing about what's going on right now is that in Instagram and in TikTok and all these social media things, this person's like, hey, I have the solution. And then it looks fancy. Yeah. It just looks fancy. It doesn't do anything differently, but it just looks fancy. And all of a sudden now you got to jump on that because that's the trend,
right.
But in reality, it's boring, but it's fun. It's,
yeah.
you know.
Well, and even on top of that, if you look at most of the things, like every so often something will get like really popularized and it'll go like viral, whether it's a training method or a movement or whatever. And it's a diet. Yeah, whatever. And all of that has probably been popular before. It just comes in cycles. Like if you stick around the strength conditioning or the fitness space long enough, or even the CrossFit space at this point, like we're starting to get long enough in the CrossFit space where things are coming back around, and whether it's a coach, a camp, a method, whatever. And a lot of that is just social media driven for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think CrossFit is the hardest one of a lot of training modalities, because there is so many different things. So there feels like there's a lot of complexity, and to a degree there is, but then if you boil it down, it's not that complicated. The problem solving for the individual sometimes can be complicated, whether it's a technical cue or, a technical issue or things like that, workout strategy, all those things. But like training, like writing out the training really isn't that complicated a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair enough. Mahmoud, do you think it's complicated, Mahmoud?
I think that, as you guys said, like the principles are few, the methods are many, but I think the art is finding out what works for who.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the methods work for everybody, and that's where maybe the complication is, or what separates coaches from each other. Mm-hmm. Being able to find out and being willing to explore, having the experience of like, oh, I had an athlete just like that, so this should work here. But I don't think that there's any like magic in making up new things, right? Like, it's not like, oh, let me find out how to get stronger. We all know how to get stronger. There are, again, few principles. Just which way makes this person gain the most strength in the least time.
Right. And what makes sense with their recovery ability,
schedule, lifestyle,
training age. Yeah. Like, I mean, Connor's a good example of this in terms of like, we took a lot of time off of heavy back squatting. We are starting to get back into more traditional squatting because he had just said to me he feels like he needs to have his legs under him a little bit more. But that's still like we're taking a very modest approach to that. And for Connor, and like really, there's like layers to this, right? It's like an athlete may need to increase their 1RM back squat so that they have just more global strength for clean and jerk, back squat, heavy squats in a workout, whatever, right? Like sandbag, yoke, sled. There's a lot of things it translates to, right? But then once somebody like Connor has a 500-pound back squat, so 500 plus. So it's like at that point, looking at it from a sport perspective, what are we gonna like? Is it worth the training that we're gonna need to do to get a 550 back squat versus these other metrics that need to be improved for him to reach a higher level of competition? So then, in the coach's eye, you can kind of look at it where the back squat then turns into this is a tool that I'm using for central nervous system response and like global strength versus a specific metric that we need to drive up because the return on investment's not going to be there for most other movements, right? So there's like, to your point, Mahmood, it's not overly complicated always, but depending on the situation and the lens, there are layers of complexity. I mean, that was something I did a lot with my master's athlete, Jamie Latimer, last year. Like back squatting was never something that really agreed with her low back and her injury history. So she did a lot of low bar box squatting because I needed her to get a strength response. But nobody with a brain would say low bar back squatting is sport specific to CrossFit, right? So we got our sport specific squatting volume in other ways that didn't beat her up. And then we found a squat variation that we could load heavier so she could feel heavy load on her central nervous system. Right. So there's ways to kind of slice and dice things. What do you think is one of the biggest differences in being in the situation of a coach and athlete versus just being an athlete? Like, you are passionate about coaching, you enjoy coaching, so there's that. But what are some of those things that you've taken and from being on the athlete side that you then iterated being as a coach as well?
Yeah, man. So I'll say this. So I used to be reckless abandonment when going into a workout. I'm still am, honestly. I just, sorry, dude. Hey, I've told you when you were right. I've told you when you were wrong.
That's true.
Fine. It's fine. No, I think for me, jumping into coaching kind of made me realize, not everything has to be balls to the wall, and it shouldn't be approached that way, right? It's like, back before I even got with you, Tristan, when we would squat, snatch, or front squat, clean, blah, 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 I thought on the strength side that I had to hit those numbers. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not hitting that percentage right now, I'm pretty much a failure. Like, mm-hmm. and I know that sounds silly, and like, you guys can tell me that, like, hey, pay attention to your body. If you don't got it that day, don't do it. It's fine. But in my mind, I was like, no, I have to do it. Like, it's going to drive me nuts. And, when I jumped into coaching, that quickly shifted and helped me out on that side as well, because it's like, even though you're not hitting those percentages, the stimulus is still there, right? I mean, hey, I'm 10 pounds off. Hey, I'm 5 pounds off, like whatever, but at the end of the day, as long as I think the frequency of the movement a lot of times as well is a little bit more important than how intense is it, right? Mm-hmm. That it kind of helped my mindset change on the athlete side when I jumped into coaching on that realm. Hey, I don't have to go 100 miles an hour in this workout, or I don't have to hit this percentage today. we have this coming, right? I need to be smart about it, right? So it's more of it gave me more of a broader lens rather than, hey, I'm today and this is what I have to worry about, rather than, hey, I got Y gods in 3 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I might not want to push that, you
Right.
know. But I will say, I mean, I'm not perfect in that sense. Those thoughts still come in, especially when we're on the back end of a 6-week cycle, or
Right.
when a body is run down, or whatever the case may be. It's definitely on my mind, but it has helped broaden my lens a little bit on just how I view those things. And then secondly, it's like, to be truthful, being an athlete has helped me be a little bit better coach. Everybody on this podcast and in our field has done CrossFit, which is awesome, because last thing you want to do is not understand where somebody was coming from.
Yep.
Hey, I was doing the Monster Games qualifier, and it was 60 bar facing burpees, 30 squat cleans at what was it, 85?
I think so. 185.
185, and then all of a sudden it's 40 more burpees and 20 squat cleans at 225, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't do that and I saw that on paper, I would have told one of my athletes, Robert, hey, just pace, right? It is a pacing workout. I know that, but at the end of the day, like, I knew where he was going to feel this workout before I even got to give it to him. Right. And that has added value on the flip side of things as well. It's like, I do these workouts. I did all the open workouts on a Thursday night, just because I wanted to run through them. I was able to give my athletes some feedback and some more people some feedback in the gym. Right. It's they've helped out tremendously on different aspects of each other. It's been enjoyable too. It's something I just didn't experience for a long time, and I wanted to coach, but when I jumped into coaching, I definitely was not expecting it to change my mindset for the athlete realm. I thought the athlete realm would have a bigger effect on the coaching side rather than the other way around.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They definitely work both ways.
Absolutely.
And it's good. Like, it's good to have the awareness to take lessons from each, right? And I do think there is something, not all coaches need to be athletes or competitive athletes, but there's definitely something to be said about doing, just in our realm in CrossFit, just having an idea of what you're asking of people, whether you're currently doing it or whether you did it, in your past, so that you just understand the mental demands, the physiological demands. Like, you've kind of been down that road. I think that goes a long way for sure.
Yeah. For me, it was more about feeling too. It's like, hey, I'm doing this Monster Games qualifier. I don't feel good. I don't feel good after, and I'm just giving you a heads up. Like, this sucks.
It's going to be difficult. Get your mind
this
right.
is hard. Yeah. So that's definitely played a role. I will say though, I don't always listen to myself as a coach either. Or you.
That's true.
But it's helped out both ways, man. It's been
good. Which kind of brings me to the question, like, okay, you have developed your coaching experience, you've been an athlete. After you felt like, okay, I've been coaching for long enough, I know what I'm doing, what made you think, or do you think that still having a coach is valuable for you?
It is a price tag that can't be put on. It's for me, it's a value that I always want, and for me, in my mind, it's a priority, right? It's in where I want to go in the sport. May or may not ever happen, but that's completely okay. But I need to know that I'm in it and I'm working towards a goal. And that mentally relaxes me a little bit, because when I get the feeling of not working towards something or not taking the steps to get to something, that is when self-talk for me is detrimental. Whether it be just daily mood or, hey, I'm having a rough night. I got some thoughts swirling around. I'm laying down in bed. I can't sleep, right? If I know that I'm taking those steps accordingly and I'm doing the right thing, I'm okay.
Right.
And Tristan provides that. And on top of that, man, I'm going to bias my training away from 5K rows. It's just going to happen. But Tristan will not. And that's okay too.
Right.
But guess what? I know for a fact that Tristan has my best interest in his mind. That's not, it's not pointless work. It's something that we have seen in the past. We've been through enough qualifiers and events to know everything that I deal with. There's nothing hidden, I would say, anymore. But I do know that a lot of times I would change my programming. For me, my athletic mind is like, okay, and I'm sure you guys have heard people say this too, I'm going to do what I like to do. That's fun. Even though it's the same thing, I don't care. It's just fun. I would back squat 3 times a week. That's just me.
You would back squat and clean all the time.
Yeah, that's just who I am. And I would definitely bias that. And I know for a fact that if I take away that coach away from me, I, number one, probably would fall off quick, fast, and in a hurry. I would do some class WODs. That's not what I'm saying, but I would fall off in the sense of like tracking towards what I want to track to.
Right.
And it's something that I can't put a price tag on, man. It's a non-negotiable for me. I've had some things come and go, and then, no, I have to have coaching. Like that's not coming out of my budget. Sorry. And that's just it for me. So,
So
it is very. Go ahead, Mahmoud.
I was gonna say you've done like training think tank or any other programming. How's that different from having a coach?
Yeah. Well, so I did a couple different things. I did TTT. I did Mayhem, what Rich is doing, for a little while until I died.
Yeah.
And then for a split second before I got with Tristan, I did jump ship training when they were just getting it on board.
That was when Seth was.
So I did those little 3 things. What Rich is doing was really cool in the sense of like, hey, I'm doing a lot of volume. I'm spending my time in the gym that I want to, I feel like I'm doing something. TTT had a more traditional approach of like, hey, we're going to ramp up for 6 weeks and then deload, and then ramp up for 6 weeks and deload. I will say this though, and this is no disrespect to anybody who does TTT or anything like that. It just did not fit me. It was not, at that time, I haven't looked at their training in a long time. So, but at that time they were doing some weird stuff in the sense of like, hey, we're going to jerk with our off foot today rather than the foot I usually do,
Which again, like it's good for some people. It's not like wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's a nervous system component to that. And I'm now aware of that.
Right.
But at the time I'm like, man, what are we doing, man? I didn't feel as though I was getting competitive training. I thought it just felt
like it was too specific and not specific enough for you.
Yeah. And it was almost like a build off of the class WODs. It was almost just like extra work, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you want to work on some cleans today. Here's a couple drills. Here's the sets, so on and so forth. To be honest, jump ship, I didn't even really stay on. I was just trying to see what was going on. But when I got with Tristan, my mindset was that, hey, I have these weaknesses and they're just not being attacked. They're being touched, but they're not being attacked. And I'm at the point right now to where I want to clear these up. That is stepping foot into the one-on-one personal training, right? That is the stuff that I needed and has seen the biggest increase in CrossFit ability, just in general, whatever you want to term that, that wide range of stuff. But I was looking for something more targeted, and Tristan provided that. The personability of like, hey, this is my goals. Okay, I'm going to do what Connor needs to do to get him to these goals, rather than, hey, I have kind of going back to what you said earlier, Mahmood, like it may not work for me, right? Tristan's like, hey, I've been doing this for 5 of my athletes. It works. I'm going to get Connor on this, right? I need that constant dialogue of, hey, how am I feeling? This worked. This didn't work. This Metcon blew me up. This Metcon went really well.
Right.
And that's how you kind of pinpoint those weaknesses that you're looking for. And at this point in time, Tristan and I don't think have anything that is unknown, right? As far as a weakness in the CrossFit space.
No.
But that was my goal, and Tristan has accomplished that. And beyond that, it's been something that is just not something I will ever see myself stop doing in the near future at all. It's a non-negotiable for me.
I think it's definitely fair with programs like I've said this for a really long time. I think programmers and coaches all have a different like personality that gets expressed in their programming.
Yes.
Right. And I think to a large degree, the programming people enjoy, it's almost a personality thing to some degree. Like TTT's methods clearly work. They're some of the best coaches in the space, right? But there's a psychological component for people who like that approach, right?
Yeah.
There's a psychological component to people who would gravitate toward the general structure that Brute programs for, or Ascend programs for, or like even me and Mahmood. Like Mahmood and I program very differently for our individual athletes. Like there's going to be a difference in, the type of personality of a person that's going to gravitate toward maybe how Mahmood programs versus how I program, right? Yeah, and I think that's just a fair thing in general. And something that doesn't get talked about very often. Like people are just like, this programming brand or that programming brand, and I'm like, there's just a large personality, psychological component to it as well.
Well, and then like I hate when people say that this program sucked or this program was good, and then this program is better than that one. It's all different from everybody, and I've noticed that over the course of time too, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I improved tremendously when I was on TTT and what Rich is doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you do the fitness, the results will come. Like it doesn't really matter what you do, but in the sense of like locking it down,
right?
I needed that, and that's where that came from. I don't, like you said, TTT is respected amongst the space. They've been around for
a decade,
a long time, right? And there's reasons for that. It wasn't for me, man. I needed to work on handstand push-ups. Still do
all the time.
All the time. Press every day. Yeah, press every day. And that was something that just needed to be locked down, man.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Yep.
What else you got for him, Mahmood?
Mahmood, you look so excited today.
You look so pollinated.
Yeah, you look like a little bumblebee with some pollen on him, on his beard. Look at that.
Yeah, if anybody touches my face, liquid will come out from somewhere. This is where we're at.
Good.
No, I think that it's just Connor is one of the examples where like he coaches at a gym, he coaches online, he's a competitive athlete, and you don't find that combo. Like me and you, Tristan, we're not competitive athletes anymore. So we can't even like
up over here, boy.
Tristan is trying to do Wild Gods.
No, he's trying to do BCS first.
Listen,
whoa,
bro! Listen,
whoa,
bro! Listen to this. Listen to this.
Whoa, where'd that come from?
I was joking in the gym Monday with Angelina, and I was like, "Hey, maybe we'll do BCS together." Because like that, I think that would be a lot of fun. Mahmood has now set it in freaking stone tablets.
Whoa!
I went and got myself a partner as well, and we're gonna
He's
go
like,
ahead and
we
compete.
are doing BCS, and you are doing it with Angelina. And I was like, brother,
and he's doing RX.
It was just an idea.
It's a great idea.
Tristan, you back on it, huh?
I mean, I've been working.
I can't wait to sign up for these competitions and beat your ass, dude. Connor, you need to go in elite. No, I'm staying in RX. I'm going in RX.
This is my competition right here.
Yes, this is all I want.
We'll just make sure Connor keeps working on his ring muscle ups and his dubs, because that's probably about the only combo I might have you on.
Hey,
dubs. Whoa.
Dubs.
Your dubs have gotten a lot better.
Okay, yeah, come on.
Because I make you do like 500.
And if ring muscle ups are on bigger straps or longer straps.
Yeah, you probably had me.
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Also, if
on short straps.
Also, if anything has a substantial amount of squatting, you're gonna destroy me. So there's that.
Yeah, you got to mile down to get the hip crease below the knee.
God, it's a nightmare.
Freaking tree.
We'll see. I might do a competition. I really think I'm gonna have you do that workout that Mayhem posted on their Instagram.
No,
that I was talking to you about last night.
No, you better give me 2 days of zone 2 after.
That's fine.
Yeah,
one of the ones they posted, Mahmood, I was talking to him about it last night. Just a beautiful workout. 1 up to 10, deadlifts at 405 and bench press at 225. I was like, oh, I like
my heart rate won't go high at all.
No, my 2 least favorite movements.
Say you'll never get out of like zone 3, if that.
No.
I'll be interested where you can have a conversation while working out.
I will be interested to see if that one pops up as well. I don't know if in a 2-day comp with probably only 5 to 6 events. I mean, you could balance that with other things. I just don't know if they would do that.
No, I don't.
Especially because they're already doing heavy Isabel.
Yeah.
That's a heavier bias test, especially for the men. So,
yeah,
it was a cool post they made, though. I really enjoyed that.
Heavy Isabel would be fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. That's a fun workout.
Yeah,
for all of y'all, because I would do like 3.
You would do 3.
I would do like 3
reps.
I would do like 3 reps maybe.
What weight is that?
225.
I will not be doing any. I'll do deadlifts.
My move, just do 225. 225.
I mean,
just do it.
No.
Do it.
It's not hard.
No.
For you.
I haven't even gotten 200 again.
All right. I think we'll wrap it up there. Connor, it was good to have you back on for hopefully.
Yeah, dude, don't delete this one.
Actually, a podcast that actually gets released.
Don't delete this one.
We'll definitely have you on more. I owe you.
Figure it out.
A couple.
Figure it out.
225 is 1.5 my body weight. Not doing that.
That's impressive that you can do that, because we all know you can. Yeah, you can. Not with that attitude, you can't.
I can snatch pull it. I will do that.
All right, guys. We appreciate everybody watching, tuning in. Everything you guys need to know about Ascend Athlete will be in the description. Our Instagrams. Connor's a rookie and didn't put his Instagram on his thing, on his little ticker at the top, but that's okay. You're a podcast rookie. It's all right. But
dude, it's CON_NOR22. All right.
Talk to the experts over here.
Yeah, the experts.
Yeah, the idiot who deleted the
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm the
rookie.
expert for sure.
Yeah, dude. Grow up, dude.
But
is it just me, or does anybody else like that collaboration between the A and the R, the Rogue and the Ascend? I think that should be a great
sat
shirt.
up, it looked like the A was on your shirt.
I know, it looks like a great shirt.
Yeah,
I noticed
that earlier.
There we go.
Hey, just buy some Rogue shirts and
stick it up.
Definitely could do that with a sticker. All right, like, subscribe, all the YouTube things. Ascend Athlete, follow us. Yes, this episode will air. Pinky promise, swear. And
oh my God! Don't do that! Don't do that! Too much pressure now.